Dick Hallorann is a character that's most notably known for his appearance in The Shining, but with It Welcome To Derry recently being released, a surprise appearance was made by the character, and with the story developing, it seems like he's gonna play an integral role in the first season of the show that's set in the 1960s. So with that, I wanted to take a look at why he features in the show, what his powers and abilities are, and why the military are viewing him as being somebody that's extremely important to them. So let's get into it. Here is It Welcome To Derry, Dick Hallorann Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Dick Hallorann's background. Hallorann actually has a relatively dark background and one that comes from abuse and suffering. Most of the information about his background was actually only revealed to us in the 2019 movie Dr. Sleep. Before that, he was mentioned in the It novel, he appeared in The Shining, and he also featured in Tabitha King's novel Pearl. Hallorann's shine ability that he has is something that he was born with in New Hampshire, and he shared this ability with his grandmother, so he most likely got it from that side of the family. His powers came to fruition because he was known to be able to have conversations with his grandmother telepathically without ever needing to say a word out loud, only through each other's minds. When he was with his grandmother and his grandfather, he referred to them as White Grandma and Black Grandpa. This wasn't to do with the color of their skin, but it was all to do with the energy that made up the inside of them and the type of people that they were. Grandpa was referred to as Black because his soul was dark and he wasn't a kind man towards his grandson. Hallorann's grandfather abused him on several occasions whilst he was growing up, and Hallorann never spoke about it at the time because he was threatened by his grandpa that a child snatcher would come and take him away if he ever uttered a word of it to anybody else. This meant that he had to live with that secret whilst he was growing up. Eventually, the abuse stopped when his grandfather passed away, but even once he was gone, Hallorann continued to see him in the visions that he had. There were several occasions where he'd have a shining encounter with his grandfather and he'd be trying to relive the trauma of what he experienced with his grandpa when he was alive. It was only later on, when Hallorann went to inform his grandmother of the shinings that he was having of his abusive grandfather, that she revealed that she found out about the abusive nature of her husband after his death. And with that, she taught him how to imprison bad shines so that they wouldn't resurface and haunt his mind, ultimately putting his grandfather to rest. When Hallorann left home, he enlisted in the US Army and became a cook for Easy Company, which is a unit that was based in New Hampshire, where he was from. From there, with other men that were in his unit, they created an establishment which was a nightclub called the Black Spot, which was known to specifically have black soldiers in attendance there. This establishment is a place that eventually got burned down by the Legion of White Decency because of racist behaviour, and it seems like it's going to connect to the It Welcome To Derry TV series story, as those undertones have definitely been established and we've seen that Legion's emblem appear on the Paul Bunyan billboard. After that, he then got a job at the Overlook Hotel from The Shining and became their head chef. Within the Shining novel, Dick Hallorann didn't end up being killed or dying within it. However, within the movie, Dick was actually killed, so the character underwent two completely different fates. Dick Hallorann is definitely a character that comes from a troubled background and did all that he could to essentially find his own way in life whilst trying to manage his shining abilities in the best way possible. Dick Hallorann's powers and abilities explained. When it comes to Hallorann's powers and abilities, we've not truly seen them in action yet within the HBO show. However, we know that he has the Shine. The Shining power is essentially a psychic ability that enables the likes of Hallorann and those that possess it to have telepathy and clairvoyance, which means that he can read minds and communicate with others within their mind. Like what we heard about him doing with his grandmother when he was younger. It also means that he's able to see events from the past and also the future. As well as that, he's also able to see the dead and sense supernatural evil entities. As well as sensing evil, he's also able to interact with the dead that he comes across and communicate with them too. It seems like he's also able to feel the pain and suffering that the dead that he comes across experienced due to the reactions that we've seen him have. Whilst we know that Hallorann can see the dead, the power that it feels like he's utilising most in the It Welcome To Derry show is that of being able to look into the past and sense other occasions where Pennywise caused trouble for the residents in the town. That, along with being able to locate where the pieces of the meteorite that brought Pennywise to Earth are located. When it comes to how Hallorann got this power, it's said that the power can be inherited through the family bloodline, which would make sense for him as his grandmother had the exact same ability, but as well as that, it can be activated through some kind of trauma. Within the trailer for the upcoming episodes, it seems like he's going to be suffering for what it is that he sees when he uses his abilities, and maybe seeing the sheer amount of dead that he's going to be laying eyes upon will trouble him. Not to the point of insanity like it does others, but to the point where it makes him not want to use his powers, as we did see him stalling when it came to the digging that the military were doing. Now, sorry to interrupt the video, but if you're enjoying it, could you please give it a like and also subscribe to the channel if you want to see more? It'll mean a lot as it helps the channel out. Thanks. What's Hallorann's importance in It Welcome To Derry? Within the TV series, there are a couple of different reasons that Hallorann is included in the show, and he's going to connect into the story in multiple different ways. First off, the main reason that he's there is because the military are looking at using his shining ability to dig up the meteorite pieces that are connected to Pennywise's origin of how he came to be on Earth. The military are planning on weaponizing Pennywise and using him as a way of planting fear in the Russian mind so that the Cold War stays in a state of being cold and doesn't escalate. Hallorann is a core part of Operation Precept, as without him the pieces wouldn't be getting found and dug up. So the special privileges that he's getting is what's motivating him further. Another important story that we're going to be seeing develop inside of the show is the opening up of the Black Spot. The seed was planted with that when the chief got him thrown out of the bar that he and his two friends were drinking in, and them all saying how they couldn't drink where they wanted to and that it was a joke. The opening up of the establishment is something that will then allow us to see the Legion of White Decency burning it down, which is where Will Hanlon will ultimately get saved by Hallorann, as that's a story that we heard being told before. The underlying racism within the town has been made present from the moment that the show opened, so it feels like Hallorann's story with the Black Spot will also be featured too. Following the Black Spot burning down, that will probably set about Hallorann's departure from the It universe and see him enter the Shining universe, where he went to work at the Overlook Hotel. The final important connection that Hallorann is going to have in the show is that with him possessing the ability to be able to see the dead and the dark side of Derry, I think this is what's going to bridge the connection between the story of Derry and also the disappearance of Matty, Phil, Teddy and Susie, as he'll be able to reveal that they've been taken by Pennywise and are most likely dead. This revelation could also be what allows Hank to be let off the hook for being accused of taking them and killing them. So Hallorann is a character that we're going to be seeing across multiple different stories within the show, and it could arguably make him the most important character in the entirety of the series. Dick Hallorann, whilst being first shown to us as a driver of a car, I imagine by the end of the season we're going to be seeing him as something much more than that, and the importance that he's going to be having when it comes to all of those stories is something that will dictate the direction of the show in multiple different ways. There have been a ton of moments teased to us within the trailer where it seems like he's going to be seeing Pennywise firsthand, and with it being said that he's one of only a few sane adults to be able to see it in many of its different forms, I can't wait to see how he's going to react to that. So, there you have it. It Welcome To Derry, Dick Hallorann explained. If you want to see more videos on It Welcome To Derry, then check the playlist below. Do you think Hallorann's importance will grow even larger? Share your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video and I'll see you in the next one.